recording. I want you to go into that private Facebook group and support one another, be each other's cheerleader, go in and look at each other's stuff. Like, this is the place, this is the time for you not to be in worrying about what other people are thinking, right? Because a lot of you are in very similar spaces and or places within your business. And so, you know, this is the time, right? And I'm going to pop in there. I want to support you as much as I can. I'm committed to going in there several times during the week. So that being said, we're going to jump right in. I want you to make sure you don't have any distractions. Does everybody have their membership area and that you've got your printout of your workbook? And if you don't, just listen. You can always follow along. You're going to go back and forth to this. So over the next 5 weeks, and then I added that bonus call, which will be March 2nd. And that's really going to be that work party. It's going to give you time and space to be able to execute and implement some of the things that you've learned. And then we'll circle back around on that day and be able to kind of see like, hey, what worked, or where's a stopping point, or where are you bumping up against something? Okay, fair enough? Yes? Good. So today we're going to start out with, now this is what I always say to everybody who works with me. And this is really, really important for you. I want you to be, you know, I want you to be in the place of a student listening, right? A customer, a client. I want you to be in that place, but I also want you to be in a place of being a voyeur. So I know that you all are on my email list, so you can start seeing kind of how I do things. And I want you to be a voyeur about how other marketers are doing things. So the Big Bold Life and Biz Plan, one of the things that you're really going to have to embrace is putting on your business hat. So I'm encouraging you from the outset to, you know, look at things differently. Like, start examining, why did I sign up with Mary? Or why am I signing up for this? Or why did I buy that book? Or what? Start the discovery process of what it's like to market. And then it takes a lot of the pain out of it. Then it's not so stressful. And then you can actually enjoy it and like have fun. So creating a Big Bold Life and Biz truly is about having fun. That is what I want you to recognize, right? That's what it's about. Okay. Saying that, I mean, I can go all in. And so please feel free. What we're going to do is I'm going to go through this first session with you. And at the end, I'm going to have it open for Q&A. And on Mondays, your new module session workbook will be put into the membership guide or membership spot. And then I will pop in on Mondays into our private Facebook group just to be like, hey, let's get the week started. You've got your book, okay? And so today you can ask me anything that you want that's relevant to this first session. You know, next week and the weeks on after that, you can ask me anything you want about what we've learned so far or what you've done so far. And the reason being is because, you know, I know some of you are in here like, let's just get to how much money I can make, or let's just get to what I can charge, or how am I going to build my program? So this program, the Big Bold Life and Biz Plan, is designed for you specifically to move through a process. So being a voyeur, I want you to recognize this when you're developing your programs. I know that you already have processes that you do with your clients. I already know that. So start writing them down, but recognize it's a process. For example, there's other bonuses that you have that I'll be putting in the membership area. I haven't put them in yet because I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. And I know some of you are the kind of people that are going to be like, I'm going to just do everything before, you know, I'm just going to get it all done. No. Okay. Because I know sometimes when we sign up for something like this, we have this sense of urgency. Like, I finally said yes. I finally am doing it and I want to do it now. A lot of the entrepreneurial journey is recognizing, okay, I have to tell you the truth. And this is what we're going to be talking about today, about your big, bold dream, right? The big dream breakthrough is that saying about, you know, it's who you become in the process. And I have to tell you the truth. Hey, Christy. Hey, Diane. Oh, hey, Jessica. Hey, how's it going? Let me just unmute them real quick so that they can just say a howdy. Hey, Jessica, where are you? Where do you live?
In Columbus, Ohio.
Nice that you're here. I'm so happy that you're here.
Thank you.
Welcome, welcome,
Thank you.
welcome. Yes. And let's see, Christy. Hey, Christy, how's it going?
Hey, good, thank you. I'm in Virginia, Northern
Yeah,
Virginia, DC
that's
area.
right. And that's so funny. The other day, I realized that Christy was in outside of Quantico, Virginia, and I'm like, that's where I was living at one time. Who knows? Maybe we were like past each other in Target one day. Who knows, right? Okay, so back to this mindset and this journey and this aha, it is about who you become. Because this is what I know to be true, is that when you started out being in the helping profession, you probably were unaware of how much business hat you had to put on when you developed your own business. Who can agree with that? Let me see nodding heads or yeses, correct? And it was almost like a rude awakening. Who felt like that? Like, holy shit, this is a rude awakening. Like, what are you talking about? You kind of were like, oh, I've got my degrees, I've got my license or whatever. I'm just going to hang my shingle. And there you go. Or maybe you get slated on insurance, or you put your little something on Psychology Today and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, where's the stream? Yeah, so it was a rude awakening. So I want to lighten it a little bit and recognize that it's actually pretty fun. It's really fun, the marketing. I'm going to share with you the process of how this group even came about in the product module. And I'm going to be so transparent, like how this came about, what's the next evolution, so that you can have a sense of relief. I'm going to plant the seed right now. Like, look, there's like 14 or 15 of you. Some people are working right now and they're not here. 14 or 15 of you. Some of you just found me like the other day from a Facebook ad. And it wasn't an expensive Facebook ad. It wasn't like thousands of dollars. It was just like, but it was the right Facebook ad. It was the right language. And so my point with this is it doesn't have to take long to find clients. It doesn't have to take long to, create something. So how many of you, by a show of hands, just kind of found me within the last month or less? Right. So isn't that kind of good news? Like, let's just take a big, deep breath. Like, how cool is that to think about you and even the next month or so having new people come into your world and pay you money and that you're excited to work with? I mean, does that lighten it a little bit? Yeah, right? I mean, really, I'm like, this is so cool. This is not some huge, massive launch, which I will be doing next evolution, right? So I wanted to give you that good news to start you out. Okay. So you printed out your workbook. I'm going to be truthful. You've got to push yourself. You're going to be, bumping up against some comfort zones. And part of the reason too is most of us, when we started out as employees, right? We started out as employees. And so what does that mean? Let me see if I can do this differently. If we're employees, then we're not used to being our own boss. And so before we jump into the big dream breakthrough, where we're going to look at what it is that you really want, I want you to recognize that you probably are, unaccustomed to being fully your own boss, which means being 100% responsible for your outcome, being 100% responsible for your daily thing, showing up when you don't want to show up. Because there's days I don't want to show up. I'm an introvert by nature. I like just hanging out, by nature. But how many of you here have your own private practice and are not working for anyone? Okay, so you're not working for anyone. So we're going to go through this, not right now, but I'm going to ask you some other questions in the private Facebook group. And thank you for those of you who did fill out that paperwork and sent it to me, so I get to know you a little bit better. Putting on that hat. So that's what I want you to practice on a daily basis. Okay, so grab your workbook if you have it. And we're just going to go through, we're going to start talking about what's holding you back. Really looking at like, what is a big, bodacious dream? Like, what does that look like? And sometimes we forget what that even looks like because we've tried stuff. And then I see nodding. Thank you. I definitely want feedback from you. Here, let me admit this person. Hey, Renee, how are you? Glad you're here. Can you hear me, Renee? Hello. Yeah, okay. And so, when we bump up against things and we have that business hat on and it's not working out quite like we want, then it feels frustrating. Yes? Yes. Okay. And so when we get frustrated, and you know this is therapists too, when we get frustrated or when we get bothered, that thing goes further and further away. It becomes more and more distant from us. And so our job today, what we're going to talk about is how to re-embrace that, how to reconnect with your big dream, how to have that as a breakthrough and create this as a practice. Okay. And so the very first thing, and there's a couple things, this one thing I want to share with you right off the bat. And actually, this is a poem, that I have looked at all these years, and this is actually by Mary Oliver. Has anybody ever heard of her before? Mary Oliver. She recently actually just passed away, and I'm going to share this with you. It's called The Journey. One day, you finally know what you had to do and began. There are voices around you, and they kept shouting their bad advice, till the whole house began to tremble, and you felt the whole thug at your ankles. Mend my life, each voice cries. Each voice cried, but you didn't stop. You knew you had to. You knew what you had to do. Through the wind pried with its stiff fingers at the very foundation, though their melancholy was terrible, it was already late enough and a wild night. And the road full of fallen branches and stones, but little by little, you left their voices behind. And the stars began to burn through the sheets of clouds, and there was a new voice, which you slowly recognized as your own, that kept your company as you strode deeper and deeper into the world, determined to do the only thing that you could do, determined to save the only life you could save. And of course, that's yours. And the power of recognizing that you have the opportunity to take 100% responsibility for where you are is so juicy and so amazing. And even though sometimes we get into that place where we're excuses, right? Well, yeah, but all that, you have to acknowledge that where you are in this moment is because of all the choices that you've made up until this very moment. And when you make that connection, that whether you consciously are here or you just happenstanced here, every decision that you've made through your life has brought you to this moment. Therefore, every decision you make forward will take you to that goal. Not to say you can't modify your goal, but it takes you to that goal. So I know you're here because you resonate with having a big, bold life in biz. So I know you're the go-getters and I'm preaching to the crowd, but sometimes you just got to remind people. You've got to remind people. So let's go ahead and jump right in and talk about what your bodacious dream is and how that you really create your reality. And so we're going to do this rocking chair exercise, and it's really about connecting with your future self. When we're not in touch with what we want and we're not being pulled that way, it's easy to have all this crap show up that continues to block us. Like she was saying, like the stones and the pebbles in our way, etc. So I want you to sit and take a deep breath right now and allow yourself this moment to really just sink into your chair, to be present, to recognize that you are at the beginnings. And I want you to imagine yourself 80 years from now, or excuse me, when you're 80. Imagine you're 80 years from now. Hey, that technology is going to happen. So imagine yourself at 80. There was a time, I called this the rocking chair, exercise. There was a time when I was like in my 20s that I was like, one day when I'm like 50 and I'm old and I'm sitting on my rocker. Now it's like, okay, one day when I'm like 95, right? So I want you to really think about your future self, right? Think about your future self. And I want you to imagine her that she is sitting in a rocker on this amazing house, whatever your dream house looks like. And she's beckoning to you. And she's saying, come up here, dear. Sit next to me. And you start to have a conversation with her. You ask her, what will I miss out on if I don't go for it? You start asking her and have a conversation. And this is a practice that I want you to embrace. She has the answers. You have the answers. What will you miss out on if you don't go for it? What will your life look like if you do? And you can ask her, how much money is it that I really am wanting to make? What is going to make my life feel rich? What is a big, bold life for me? And allow that future part of yourself to actually tell you. Because a lot of times when we get into that place of thinking, we eliminate possibilities and opportunities. So the goal for you during this whole program, part of the breakthroughs, is to be in a place of openness and receptivity. And most of the time, women are not in a place of fully allowing themselves to receive. And that's because you're, all badasses and you want to go get it. Sometimes we have to take a moment to receive. So receive the wisdom. And how many of you have some kind of practice like this on a daily basis where you connect with yourself? 1, 2, 3-ish, right? This is what you're going to be doing in the morning, right? It's not like I'm not going to give you 20 million journal prompts. I want you to really connect with your future self. What will regret look like for you? What will regret look like for you? What would not living your bodacious big dream cost you? What would it cost you? And get in reality. So as you're thinking about your future, your older future self, think about yourself 5 weeks from now, 6 weeks from now. By not following through this program, what will it cost you? And get real about it. Let's not be all in the fluff stage. Well, it's going to cost me and I'm really going to feel bad about myself. Well, we know that. It's more about what's it really going to cost to your esteem, to your worthiness? Be in reality about it. Don't dismiss it. Don't turn it into excuses. Really examine it. And what do you think about what you've written when you are in this place of kind of asking? See, it's about always asking a better question, right? It's well, what am I going to do if I don't have any money? It's not that question. It's how will I make more money? How can I make more money? Okay. It's about asking these better questions and really thinking about then be in observation mode to what you write without judgment. What will regret? This is what this will be one of the things that we're going to reflect back on. And I want you to share it with me. So now let's talk about what this even means to dream big. Okay. And part of this is the truth is in order to have what you want to have, you need to show up differently. And this is the process that we're going to talk about today. So I want you to think about what even being bold means. For me, it's kind of an acronym that's brave, outgoing leader, deciding. Brave, outgoing leader, deciding to take action, deciding to make a difference, deciding on my goal and figuring it out, deciding that I'm going to have the life that I want, deciding. In that moment of decision, which you already did when you signed up for this, in that moment of decision, that's where the power is. Now, our egos, we know, flood us with oh, that's just, that might be too much. So we need to embody what it's like to be in that place of boldness. And, this is why, because this entrepreneurial journey is going to be a challenge to you. So before we write down and go through what that process about being bold is, I think it's, I know that some of you are so new and I don't want to just spend this whole time let me tell you all about my story, but I want you to at least know a little bit about the before and after and what this embodying boldness means, because we're going to talk about this, especially in the next module, the big blind spot breakthrough. But where are those things that are holding you back? For me, it's kind of funny that even my brand is about being bold, because growing up, I grew up where it was keep your voice down. Don't have an opinion. Who do you think you are? We didn't even think you were going to graduate high school. My mom was going to will me her house because she thought I was going to be homeless. What the fuck? Where did this even come from? So being bold, it was almost by happenstance that I recognized this one day. Oh my God, I already am bold. I'm now I've shrunk. So I'm 5'8". But when I'm in heels, I'm over 6 foot tall, I'm broad shoulders, I'm a size 12, I'm not a little woman. And I have this presence about me and this energy that when I walk into a room, I'm already there and I don't even realize it. But it's part of also embodying, recognizing what do you define as bold for yourself? What does that look like? So for me, growing up in an apartment to parents who had no college education, no one in my family ever made $1 million, no one in my family ever had their own business, I broke those chains, multiple chains. And so where I am today in my life is I have an extremely successful business. I live in an almost $2 million home. I'm happily married still. I think 15 years we've been together. This June was our first date, June 6th, by the way. And, I have a happy family. I have a beautiful daughter, and I'm doing work that means something to me. But from there to here, it takes some serious thinking and mindset work and really asking the hard questions. What the hell do I want, Mary? Why do you keep doing that? All of these things. What can I do better? Being connected with my future self. Asking, well, what would I regret? What would I regret? And these are questions that you might, as a coach, be thinking about asking your clients also, right? Because they're bumping up things that you will be bumping up against sometimes also. Does that make sense? Yes, right? So just so you know too, what does coaching look like? So I was a therapist, just to give you that also backstory. So I went to school, I became a social worker. This was after I have a degree in interior design. And I was a social worker because I wanted to help everybody, right? So I worked in the inner city in Baltimore. I've worked at Johns Hopkins. I've done everything you can do as a social worker. I still carry my clinical license because I know this is always a question. How do you do coaching and have your clinical license, and we'll talk way more about this in the future weeks. The transition to becoming a coach happened because I'm a lot more directive, right? I don't want long talk therapy. That's just not how I personally work. Is there a place for it? Yes. But frankly, I was exhausted and burnt out from working with people who, I see nods ahead, thank you. I was burnt out working with people who were not committed, because they're like, $20 copay, Jesus Christ, I'm like, $20. People pay me thousands of dollars now, because that kind of value. It's I didn't want to work with people any longer who weren't going to be all in for themselves. I was exhausted. Right? I was exhausted from, bringing the horse to water or whatever. Who else is feeling that exhaustion from that? Right? It's just God, I'm going to work with higher functioning people that are all in, let's go for it. Because you recognize, right? The whole point about regretting is you recognize holy crap, this is your one time here that we know of. Your one time here. You better make it work. You better be all in. It's you have to wake up. And so having that moment of being able to wake up and shift my business. And so I started out as a relationship coach, and then I realized personally I was tired of hearing about, problems, when I also wanted to talk about money, make money, women, make money, be responsible financially for yourself. Don't rely on anyone. And so I started, of course, being extremely successful with my business and then teaching that. But just so you know, one facet of my business is business consulting for therapists who want to coach, right? Women who own businesses. But another piece of my business is life coaching. The Regret Proof Life is a program that I run and how I coach my clients. All right, so that's my backstory so that you can get the truth of when I was asking myself, what does it need to be bold? What it looked like for me is having to transition how I saw myself as a clinician or as a social worker. Because there's a shift. How many of you love the idea of calling yourself a coach? You're fine with it. Okay. Yeah. I see some yeses and some right. And some of us are it takes a while. It took me a little while to embody that, to embody calling myself a coach. I was trying everything to skirt it. I'm a mentor. I'm a strategist. I'm this, I'm that. And then I finally said, screw it. I'm tired of who cares? Who cares? I don't need 5 billion people to love me to make a ton of money and help a ton of people. And so once I got that it was easy to be I'm a business consultant for this, and I'm the Regret Proof Life coach for women who want success, boom, done, change. So right now I want you to think about, what does a woman who is bold look like? I want you to think about how you would define bold. Is it an acronym, brave, outgoing leader? Deciding. I've had people like beacon of light, dedicated to helping people. Like, I don't care. Figure out your own acronym for bold. And then what does that woman look like? Because this is about you showing up and being that successful business owner. This is you embodying what it likes to make whatever kind of money that you want to make, which we will talk about. This is about you doing the work of being that bold, badass person. And badass, define it for yourself, etc. So what does a woman who is bold act like? Right? This is where the shit hits the fan stuff. Like, what does she act like? There are days I don't want to work, but I do because I like the end result. Right? I don't always want to work out or whatever, but I like the end result. You need to be connected with that dream so that you will be able to push through these stumbling blocks that will show up over the next several weeks. And you just can honor them like, holy crap, look how that shit shows up every time I want to go do a live talk or get on Facebook or whatever it is. So what does a woman who is bold look like? And being bold encapsulates having your business the way you want it. What does she sound like? How's your thinking? How's your self-talk? Are you saying like, you're a fucking badass every day or whatever it is for you? Like, you're a superstar. What are you saying to yourself? Are you saying, oh my God, I can't do this because I've tried stuff before and it didn't work out and here I am. And there might be days like that. So it's like, how are you being bold? How are you being bold? Where are you not being bold in your life? Where are you not going for it? How you do one thing is how you do most things. If you have shitty boundaries, poor boundaries with your clients, guess what? You're probably saying, yes, I'll make those 5,000 gluten-free brownies for the PTA that are due tomorrow. No, we have boundaries. Like, how are you not being bold, not going for it, not choosing your dreams first? You have to understand that about yourself. And we'll do more of that in the big blind spot. So this is about like the floating head. I talk about this all the time. It's like we're floating heads of to do. And we are so then disconnected from our dream. Because we have a list of things we have to do. I see nods, right? And then before you know it, it's like, shit, it's already, what's today? Thursday. It's already Thursday. It's already almost 2020, for God's sake. Like, ooh. Right? So daily, are you just a floating head? Meaning that you get up and you're like, and then it's nighttime, it's 9 o'clock, and you're like, oh my God, I never really, I didn't put together my opt-in. I didn't do the workbook that I needed to. I didn't do, like, I see. So I'm going to take a second here and get some feedback. I see nodding and I see like, I'm unmuting. Who wants to make a comment? Renee?
Okay, well, you asked for it.
Go ahead.
You asked a while back what was going on. I don't remember what you were actually asking. I said, oh, the regret. What would you regret? And I said to myself, well, I'm already sad and I'm already regretful because I'm looking at all these faces here and I'm seeing everybody's younger than me. And I'm seeing what I have not accomplished. Yes, I've accomplished a lot, but I'm seeing what I have not accomplished. And 30 years of chronic pain every day. So that's one of the things that holds me back. And I said, I'm not being bold in my writing. So it's now or never. That's it. It's either now or you just might as well go ahead and get 6 feet under.
There you go.
Right now.
Who relates to what she's saying on one
Definitely.
level? Yes.
Oh, nobody.
Yeah, I do. I think that that's not something that's exclusive to age or I think at any point in our lives, we might feel like we haven't done enough or we've waited too long. So even though some of us might be younger than you, I think that general feeling or sentiment is definitely relatable. I am 38 years old right now, so maybe a little bit younger than you, but definitely felt like I've put in more years into this than I would have necessarily liked to. I never got into private practice because when I looked at things like overhead and marketing and things like that, I didn't know how all those things worked. I was afraid of it. And so I've always worked in a crisis center or
Oh, sorry, just a second. Let me unmute you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
okay.
Keep going,
You're
Jessica.
okay. So I've always worked in crisis settings or inpatient psych, really burn out on that because you see the same people week in and week out or month in and month out. And it's just, oh, here you are again, you're suicidal again. And just feeling like we're not really making an impact. And I want to work with people who are higher functioning, who recognize that their lives are what they are because of their own actions and their own decisions and are ready to do something different.
Great. So. Thank you both. Everybody relatable? Do you feel like you're in the right group, or y'all feeling like, oh, look, we're all feeling kind of the same here? So to this point, that now or never piece or not successful, we're going to talk about this for a minute. Excuse me, is yes. Well, and I'm glad that we all feel safe enough to be like, I'm so sick of those people who are just like, I want to kill myself again. Not that we dismiss that, but you know what I mean? This is a group that we get it, where we have that like, God, Tony, I get it. One of the things, I'm going to put this in here, this next piece. I'm going to address what you both said. So thank you for sharing, both of you. And yes, I know we all resonate on some level, whatever age we are, is that we can oftentimes be that floating head of to do, and then it's years later, months later, or we got involved in a job and we don't even know why we were there. My first job, so I was the only one in my graduate class that was a fellowship, and which was cool because I was getting paid. But I did statistical analysis and DHS, babies in poop diapers. It was just horrible. But I met someone in my graduate class, and she had a job at a hospital working on a geri psych unit. Okay, so I fell into geriatric psych for like years, just because I was I didn't consciously do things. So what have you forgotten that you want? Who have you forgotten that you were? How do you reconnect with some of that successful aspects of yourself? Alexis is nodding. Hey, Leslie, glad that you're here. Hi. Reconnecting with that. And it's that mindset. I'm going to give you an affirmation, and whether you believe them, I don't care. You're going to do this every day. You need to write this down. One is, I'm 100% responsible for my life. And I love that. I'm 100% responsible for my life. And I love that. It's about embracing that. And the other one I've said forever, and I want you to embody this. Ready? Today, I'm powerful and strong. I do whatever I set my mind to. Today, I will do what others won't. So in the future, I can do what others can't. Yes! I'm powerful and strong. I do whatever I set my mind to. Today, I will do what others won't. So in the future, I can do what others can't. I want you to embody that, because embodying that allows you in those moments where people will be asking you, oh, why are you doing that? Why are you switching? Why you're switching, why you're doing what you're doing, because you want to do today, create the life that you want, that those other people who are poo-pooing on your dreams, they won't be able to. You have to get connected with that, because you will have people. So the next thing is called the joyful discovery of you. And this still is along the process of understanding who you are, how you need to show up, and allowing yourself permission to have that dream that you want, so that you are not in ass-kicking mode. And I'll use Renee as an example, that ass-kicking mode of like, I waited so long, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So we have to release that a little bit and then fall in love with ourselves, get in touch with ourselves again, who we are, and actually understanding ourselves. Back to that floating head, we have years that go by, or weeks that go by, or months that go by. And it's like, we don't even remember why we're doing what we're doing. We don't even remember like who we are anymore. For example, how many people do this? And I swear to God, when people say this, I like get right in their face. They're like, oh my God, it's Christmas again. I can't believe it. I'm so stressed out. Christmas is every year. get a little more organized, right? Which we will talk about, because I know some of you are like, I'm not organized, and I totally will help you with that. But like, let's be aware of what we're even saying, so that you aren't this floating head. You aren't ever going to feel like, you've just wasted. So one of the keys to life is really getting to know yourself inside and out. And sometimes this is easy, and sometimes this is really challenging. And so these following exercises are going to help you discover more about the fabulous you. This is going to allow you to have a better business, a better personal life, a better inner world. And you can also use this with your coaching clients, something along these lines. Okay. So I'm going to actually walk through these. You don't have to answer these right now. I would love it if you picked one or two and you shared it in the private Facebook group. So again, all of you have been invited to the private Facebook group. Make sure that you, because once everybody's in it, I will shut it down and make it private. So, okay. As an adult, what makes you smile? What gets you excited? What gets you giddy? What gets you excited? It may be a while since you've been excited. I ask women this all the time. When's the last time you had fun? What do you do for fun? And Renee's shaking her head. No, I don't know. Who here has had fun lately? One person, two people, three people, four people. You have had a little fun. Five people. Okay, good. Is it consistent? Christy's like, hell yeah. Is it consistent? Like, is this part of your life where you choose fun? It's like half and half here, right? This is pleasure is something you need to embody. Pleasure in your life and self-care in your life is what you need to embody so that you have the inner wherewithal to give back, but don't do it for that reason. It's more for yourself. Having that big dream breakthrough is really about you choosing you first, period. Whether you're a mom, whether you're, dying parent, whatever, I don't care. I mean, I care, but I don't, What about when you were a kid? What did you like to do when you were a kid? Are you still doing any of those things? Like, I'm very creative, so I've got like a whole craft room and blah, 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 blah. I finally signed up again, or I signed up for doing watercolor. My daughter's really crafty, like all of that. Like, what do you do that kind of rekindles that vim and vigor of your life so you don't feel so worn down and exhausted? What would you do? What do you do that makes you forget time? In other words, you lose track, you get lost in a project or activity. What do you do? And I don't mean work, because so many times we're like, oh, I'm working. And, I don't mean that. I don't mean like, oh my God, I had 8 clients today, and then I had to do their paperwork, and then I had to submit per billing. And I don't mean that. I mean like on a Saturday or something, like where you lost track of time. Maybe you went for a hike and, it was 5 miles and you didn't even look at your watch or your phone or anything. Not even one time. What is the thing that makes you feel alive, powerful, and free? I'd love for you to think about that right now. And if you want to share your answer, let me know. What makes you feel alive, powerful, and free? And nobody's jumping up and down being like, me, pick me. Okay, there's Jessica. Let me unmute you, Jessica. Go ahead.
So the thing that makes me feel alive, powerful, and free is working out and dancing. So really anything physical.
Yeah. That's great.
Especially if I'm like lifting weights or running, if I'm trying to beat my own speed, or like I've got some sort of competition within myself. Yeah.
That's great. Yay. I love that.
Thank you.
Yes. Anybody else have something they want to share? Alive, powerful, and free. I feel like that when I'm having sex, just as an FYI, right? I feel like that when I am hiking. I feel like that when I'm having time with my daughter. I feel like that when I'm on stage and I'm in front of a group of people. I feel like that right now, right? So what does that even mean, like alive? That is the work that you need to be thinking about over the next couple of days. What does it even mean for you? This is part of that big dream breakthrough about your dream. Like, it's not just how much money can I make, how many clients can I do, like alive. where you just have that moment of like true connection with the world, the universe, your God, whatever you call it. And you're like, holy shit, I'm like alive. I'm like a live human being in this moment in time right now. There will never be another one of me. There never has, and there never will be. Embody that consciously, daily. I do feel like that when I'm hiking, or I'm very nature-y. So where we live, one of these days maybe I'll put it in the private first group. I want to walk you around my house, show you. But, I'm starting to hear the birds singing, and it just feels more like spring is coming. Or when I'm hiking, or, we live in Oregon, so you can see there's like volcanoes. Like I can look out my window and be like, volcano, it's crazy. So I feel very connected that way. So you figure that out for yourself. What makes you feel good about yourself? This is a critical question. What makes you feel good about yourself? And so this is similar to feel alive and powerful. Anybody have something they want to share about what makes you feel good about yourself? Let me see. Pascal, let me unmute you. Unmuted. Go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, so I mean, I never really thought I'd grow up to be this person, to be honest with you. I'm just all about my girls, which you probably gathered from the little bit of back and forth that we've had so far. But I mean, everything is all about them. So yeah, I mean, it's about the clients, it's about making the money, but I mean, it's about having the clients and making the money so that I've got the time to be with them.
Right.
And it's not like a major sub story, but I had two parents who were just never around, and I like never around. And I just decided at such a young age that I just absolutely was not going to give my children that experience. And I mean, it's genuinely not a sub story, but I just work so hard for everything. And, talk about, when are you alive? When are you feeling at your best? When do you really feel what makes you feel good about yourself? My girls make me feel good about myself because they're bloody amazing. And when we get to go on holiday, which I have to say, we do quite a lot, actually. We've got friends in Ibiza, so we get over to Ibiza quite a lot. And I just love that no interruption, splashing in the pool, going down to the beach, like not a care in the world. And that's when that's God, if I could do that like 4 times a year, like that is what I am going for. I don't need a mansion. I don't need an amazing car. Like, kudos to people who have got mansions and big cars. I don't want that. I just want to be able to not worry about money, and I want to be able to spend I want to be able to spend school holidays with my kids. That's it.
That's great. I love that. And so what you said, thank you so much for sharing. What she said is so true, right? And so this is about reconnecting. This is what this module is about, really knowing that. What is it for you that makes you feel alive, right? And so, yeah, and when we talk about money, and so I want to kind of reiterate this, we are going to talk about making a lot of money. Yes, we impact people and help people, but time is my personal love language. I buy more free time by making more money. Free time for me does look like I have a housekeeper, comes twice a week, and she's fantastic. And I she's great. And she is like so helpful. And I value her so much, right? Because she allows me more time to do the other things. Or like today, I'm picking my daughter River up from school a little early. And, we're doing some things like I want more time. And so this is about, whether or not you want the big mansion or the big ass car or whatever. There's like zero judgment. You want that Louis Vuitton bag, like go for it, but know what you want and don't shy away from it. So thank you. What makes you feel good about you? What are some of the most significant accomplishments in your life? And this I want to address too, when Renee was speaking about feeling like I've wasted so much time. And even when Jessica was talking, there's periods, it doesn't matter our age necessarily, where we're like, I wasted so much time. Or I'm too tall, or I'm too fat, or I'm too this or all of that. It's like connect with some of the most significant accomplishments that you've had. You see, as women frequently, and you're going to find this with your coaching clients, even if they're higher level, there's still this inside where they are not connecting or not remembering or not valuing or not embracing, whatever word you want to put around it, their successes, their accomplishments. Why? Because we're not taught to brag about ourselves. And this is one of the things I can't overemphasize with you now is our private Facebook group is to show up and talk about that. Like, oh my God, I got asked to do this, or oh my God, I went ahead and I made that phone call and I freaked out, but I did it. Like I want you to constantly be aware of your accomplishments. And something small, small is irrelevant. It's not about that. It's about anything that's moving you forward is an accomplishment. So for those of you who did clear the clutter exercise, like that is an accomplishment. For those of you who didn't, you need to do that. These are all these things that are moving you forward. So that, but also, I think Renee, she's got her PhD. She's been working, doing pain management and all this stuff for a while, right? And look, she's like, fuck it, big deal. Okay. Like, do you see what she just did? Let's all whack her. Whack, 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 whack. Like, do you get it? Do you get this? Like, so one of my other clients, she's not like, she's like, well, I don't know how successful I was. I sold my business, my first business before I was 30. And she's not feeling successful. I'm like, well, first of all, most people don't even have a business to sell. So let's just, like, what is it so it doesn't have to be PhD or sold a business. Like, what have you accomplished? Well, first of all, you all are here and you all are well educated. Hello, right? What are some other accomplishments? I want you to think about this in your personal life and in your professional life. That will be one of your homework assignments, is to really think about your accomplishments. And I want you to put them like on a Post-it, put them on your computer so you can recognize them. Another thing to do, and I don't think I have it. I'll post a picture of it. I have it like somewhere behind me. A jar or something where you are depositing, like I put in client notes, or I put in like a speaking gig that I got, or, so those days that happen that you feel like, go and sit with yourself and allow yourself to embrace your bragging. Hold on a second. Yes, go ahead, Renee.
No, but Leslie has to go.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Leslie.
Sorry. Hi. I
Bye.
have a client that's here. So I'm going to try to rearrange my schedule a little bit so that the next Thursday I can actually watch this live in person. But I will watch the recording.
Good. And then make sure you jump into the Facebook group and share,
I will.
And go in there, and you all can put a video in there. Do a Facebook Live in there and allow it to be in there, so we can all get to know each other. Okay, go.
Okay,
Bye,
thank you
Leslie.
so much.
Yeah,
Bye,
take
guys.
care now. Bye. Okay, so make note of your accomplishments. Next, what are your gifts, skills, and talents? Again, same thing, right? Moving on. What is the problem or issue that you seek to solve? What world problem? Okay. It doesn't have to be like you want peace and all that kind of stuff. Like literally what thing do you want? And this is helping you start looking at your niche, right? What could you talk about all day long? So there's two philosophies here. One is where people are like, well, I could talk about knitting all day long. Okay. We're probably not going to make like a ton of money off of that, but you might, right? But obviously, but what is it that you could talk about all day long with all kinds of people? Now, this is a big one, and this is one of your assignments. What do other people say about you? How do they describe you? Your assignment, make sure you write this down. I want you to ask 5 people to describe you in 3 words. I don't care if you send an email and you're like, hey, I'm rebranding my business and I need to, I want to ask you, how would you describe me in 5 words? I want you to do that, and you're going to put that in the private Facebook group. We'll talk about what that's about later, but this is just one of the things I want you to do. Then you're going to find out whether or not you feel like shocked about that. All right, the next exercise that is ashes to ashes exercise. This is all about letting go, right? Letting go of like feeling like I waited too long, etc. But also it's about releasing emotions attached to this. So I want you to jot down, and you can use this, and then you're going to transfer this to another piece of paper. In order to have that big, bodacious dream, you have to release some of these feelings and emotions so that you can receive. So what do you want to let go of? And it could be like, I don't want to clean my house anymore, but it could also be like, I don't want to wake up every morning and feel like I'm not moving forward, or I don't want to feel bad about myself anymore, or I don't want to have a conversation with my husband anymore, or my wife, lover, or whatever, about money anymore. Like, what do you need to let go of? What stuff do you have that is rattling around in your life that has anything that smells of blame, shame, or guilt? Right? Write that down. Blame, shame, or guilt. And you can come up with more than 10 things if you want. I want you to, part 2 of this is to put that on a spare piece of paper and get, you may add to it, right? And think about it every day. What can I get rid of? What can I get rid of? What can I get? It's the same with the clear the clutter. Like, what can you get rid of? Move the junk out of your life. It is a distraction for you for having everything that you really want. Literally, energetically, it's clogging the pipeline for you. You're using it as an excuse. Well, if I was thinner, I'd speak on stages. If I understood technology, I might do a Facebook Live. Like, all the BS crap that's going through your head. So this is every day. And as you begin the action and the awareness of moving toward what you want, you're going to reinforce that habit of like, clear it out, move it out, I receive, clear it out, move it out, I receive. So you're thinking about having or not having your big bold dream is just a habit. And you know this. And so we're going to talk lastly in a few minutes about, the conversation about how we think, feel, and our behavior. You already know this. So you can ask yourself, like, Mary, what do I want? Write something down. Ask yourself again, Mary, what do I want? Write everything down that comes to mind. Everything. No limits, no judgment. Frankly, I didn't even realize what I wanted at one time. Like, I have a house that has a circular driveway and a back driveway and 2 staircases. I didn't even realize I wanted that until one day I was like, I think I remember thinking that at one time. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm also going to share with you a goal poster. I'll put that in the Facebook group in a couple days so that you have a visual. You want to write things out as they're happening today, and you want to reiterate that every day, right? I make $500,000 a year, easily, fabulously, working with incredible clients. Oh my God, I'm a rock star. Like, what is it that you want? I used to say to myself, like, I am going to be a fabulous mother. I am not going to bring my mother's baggage to my parenting. Like, I am going to be a fabulous mother. I'm going to be a fabulous mother. I am worthy. I am worthy. Like, I am embodying what I want. Today, I'm powerful and strong. I do whatever I set my mind to. Today, I would do what others won't. So in the future, I can do what others can't. Go into as much detail as you want and allow yourself to let it go. So here's the top 10 tips for saying yes to the dream. And this is kind of a methodology. Write out what you want. Listen as you're making out your list. Whose voice is coming up? I want to make $1 million. I can just, I can't hear it anymore, but historically, I used to be able to hear my mother being like, who do you think you are? Do you think money grows on trees? And we're going to really have fun on the money module. You're going to freak out because it's like everyone that I ever did that with, it blew their mind a little. Write out the feelings around that voice. I've had clients say, my sister's voice comes up. Whoever it is. Write out how you agree or disagree with that voice, right? It's about, is it true? Ask yourself, is it true for me today, or is this a whisper of the past? Complete the ashes to ashes exercise. So this is the completion piece. Once you've written down all that crap that you want to get rid of, I want you to create some type of ritual. I don't care if you rip it all up and you throw it out. See you in the Facebook group. Bye. I have a client too. Yay. And I know we're right at close to the top of the hour. Yes. See you guys later. Go and bury it. I did this. I put it in a little jar and I buried it in a cemetery outside of a beach. So complete that. Move forward with this action. Write out your feelings. What does this look like for you? Read it daily. And when you hear that voice, you have to ask, now put this on a Post-it. Is this true for me? Is this true for me? So I'm going to go over the big breakthrough formula, and then we will we'll finish. Because I know I could just stay on here all day with you guys, because we could do this all day because it's great. So we'll finish this module at the top of the hour, and I will stay on for as long as you want to answer any questions that you have this time and every time forward, okay? So the big breakthrough formula, I have it behind me, but this is what it is. What's the situation or the condition? What are your thoughts about it? What feelings does this elicit? What behaviors are you engaged in, and what is the result? So for example, the situation might be like, I want to make more money and build a bigger business. Your thoughts might be like, oh my God, but I don't know. It's like, there's a lot I have to learn. Your feelings might be like, I feel stuck. I feel anxious. And so your behavior is, I'm procrastinating. And the result is, I ain't making no money. So when we reverse engineer that, like, what is the result that you want? So first we start with that, right? What is the big dream? That's why I want you to list it out in detail. You can't attain something with intention and consciousness if you don't know what it is. Start becoming aware of all of the voices. They will get softer as you get more committed. And we will talk about not calling your voices like you bitch or inner critic, and like none of that negativity. That will not happen in this group. So the bodacious dream truth, start here and writing it out. Like, write out what you want. So here's some examples. Cabin in the woods, housekeeper, debt-free, 20 pounds thinner. Like, I don't care what it is. Whatever it looks like for you is what you need to be writing out. So this entire practice, this big dream breakthrough, I know you probably notice that it really embodies our cognitive stuff, and it embodies our emotions around it and our feelings, right? Or excuse me, our feelings around it and our behavior that give us the result. So again, when I'm asked, like, how can I incorporate some of the tools that I have as a therapist into coaching? So, this is clearly a CBT model, but also in the world, people call it the secret, right? Like, think, feel, behave. Like, if you watch The Secret, who's familiar with that movie, right? The Secret, or the concept, law of attraction. It's the same thing. Whoa. So when you get stuck on like, oh, this might be a therapy kind of thing, like, how can you tweak it a little bit and release that so it's not a therapy thing and it's actually a tool for your coaching clients? Is that helpful? Does that help shift it a little bit for you? So are you surprised that I'm using a cognitive behavioral tool as a coaching tool? Or are you thrilled out of your mind that I'm doing that? Because, yeah, it's great, right? It's because you probably have a whole list of tools. So we're right at the hour, 11 o'clock. How's everybody? I'm going to unmute you all. And I'd love to hear some feedback. I know it's a lot. I mean, every module is going to be a lot.
I'd like to share, my 4-year-old is having a temper tantrum upstairs. So my husband he's not alone up there if you could hear him. He's having a moment. I was doing the exercises, Mary, and the clear the clutter exercise in the module. And what keeps coming up for me is about regret over like abandoning people with mental health symptoms.
Yeah.
And I know that is something that I need to grow away from. It's probably part of the process. But that's definitely something that's front and center for me. I wanted to share that.
You're not alone. Okay, so that is everybody relating to what she's saying, right? There's a part of you, right? Because we're all helpers, right? So let's go a little bit deeper. Do you have a minute because you have your 4-year-old upstairs? Yeah, okay, good. So let's go a little bit deeper. So what would abandonment look like? For whatever reason, you're the only one who's not unmuted. Isn't that funny? Okay, there you go. I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yes.
Okay. I lost my screen here. Oh, I'm a mess.
Let me stop you. Let me stop you. Why am I stopping her, guys?
She's
not a mess. Yeah, you're not a mess.
Thanks,
It's
lady.
technology. I mean, I was like, oh, you're the only one unmuted. I didn't say I'm a mess and I'm facility, right?
Thank
So
you.
I'm conscious. That's okay. Yeah,
you.
please tell me. Yeah, tell me a little bit more about that. Accountability or abandonment is the word you used.
So, not that it matters what niche we are, but I'm a trauma specialist, and I work with people that have survived years of sexual abuse, and I do so really, really successfully. And I've committed years to targeted trauma treatments like EMDR and tapping therapy and neurofeedback training and all this stuff.
Right.
And there's something about it because, I would never do EMDR as a coach. And so what I'm trying to do is work with myself that I've contributed enough, I've done enough, and I'm allowed to do work that is less trying for me or something like that. I'm allowed to make that like 5% if I want.
Traumatic for you as well.
Yes, thank you, Pascal. So let me ask you, Diane, are you saying that you're wanting to work with a different population of people? Or
Yeah,
are you
I'm interested in executive coaching and personal development coaching. So a lot of peak performance type stuff really speaks to me right now at this time in my life.
Mm-hmm. And so you feel that if you let go of working with people who've sustained trauma and that you have a methodology around there, that you have some guilt around that? Is it guilt for them, or is it something to do with the years of experience that you're letting that go?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think that because I've heard so many times, like, you're the only one that's ever helped me. You're the 5th therapist I've tried, and finally I feel better. Finally, I don't have nightmares, And I think that stepping out of that space makes me feel like I literally feel heavy in my heart when I talk about it. Like,
yeah, I can see that.
Cooling down. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it true that you have to let that go completely? Is it true that you can't still do some of that work?
What I'm thinking, and I actually wrote it down in the module 1, and it brought me such relief. I sat there, I was like, I think I even let out a sigh, like, oh, thank God. I just said, well, if I raise my rate for that, I raised my rate for it. I think I'm underpricing myself right now. The reason why I even got on this is I finally got off insurance. And then once I realized I could still make money not taking insurance, it was like, maybe I can make money doing coaching,
Right.
And so if I raise my rate so that it feels more in alignment with myself and where I'm at, then that's probably the answer. And then I say I'll have a limit, and then it's on me to set that boundary. Like, I have, let's say, like 5 trauma clients at any one time or something
Right.
like that, just throwing out a number, but
Yeah.
an idea.
So 2 things. One is, executive coaching and peak performance and all that. That's really super fun too, right? And it doesn't seem like it's that. I mean, it's also like that's kind of almost, you could look at it the next evolution of your skill set too, from people who have trauma and going in there. But I wanted you to recognize the truth, right? That some of those executives, they have a lot of trauma. So some of your skills, you're still being able to embody. So it's not like shirking it completely. So that's one thing. Number 2 is, yes, you can do, I know I talk a lot about like niche down. But I have 2 niches, right? And so it's just that nuance of being able to support people. And yes, EFT coaching, I mean, I know, right? So yes, raising your rate. And so my question is, would that mean that you would discontinue calling yourself, just for point of reference, a therapist, and not doing any of this is the line that we all are thinking about, right? Frequently, is like, where's that line of therapy versus coaching? And if somebody has trauma, am I able to coach them without them necessarily having, some kind of diagnosis? Am I able to coach them with some skills looking forward, as opposed to a lot of the therapeutic interventions? Does that make sense? So what are your thoughts about that? I mean, is that part of your conversation in your head?
It is. I think that I would step into being a therapist very quickly in the beginning. And I think I would want to kind of rehearse it in my mind of in the beginning, because I won't have like a neural network for it yet, so I think that in my mind I'd like to rehearse when they're saying this is what I'm going to have them do to follow up on their own, instead of leading like the inner child experiential work that I might do with a counseling client or something like that, like teach them how to interact with their nervous system, teach them those skills instead of doing it in vivo. Does that make sense, Sherry?
Totally makes sense.
Okay.
And so that's part of this that you'll develop, like when we go through the product breakthrough, right? That I think it's module number 4. One of the things that I will walk everyone through is the process to put your program or package or service, whatever you want to call it, and do it in an hour. And you probably could already do this. And this will help you know what the methodology that you're doing. And so in a way, you can just like have it in front of you, right? So that you won't default that muscle memory, right? Into, getting into the therapeutic mode. But let me also say, this is the truth. We can't unknow what we know. And there are times that where is that line? And this is why, everyone's like, where's the line, Mary? I'm like, we all have to define our own line. And so when you even said inner child work, like, can you morph that a little bit, right? So that it doesn't feel so therapy-ish, right? For example, when we talk about money mindset in module 3, we're going to talk about what was it like growing up? What did your kid, so there's some reflection. So there is that nuance. And so each one of us has to define it, because the truth is there are some overlaps. We can't deny that. Now, saying that, there's coaches out there all the time that are like, I'm a trauma coach, and I walk people right through their childhood, their inner child. And the therapist in us might be like, oh God, you don't know what you're getting into. So the good news is that you have this skill so that you know what can happen when you start pulling that thread. That's all for all of us. That's what elevates us in the coaching world. That is what elevates us for our clients, that we can't unknow our skill set. So I think that it's not going to be as challenging as you think. And yes, having congruency with your rates is critical. And so once you start embodying that, I think that, this conversation, it won't feel as heavy. So yay. Thanks for sharing that. Can everybody relate to what she's saying, right? Mm-hmm. As far as letting something go, and, you've done the work and you have the expertise, and it feels like but you don't have to let it go. You can just modify it. Feel better? Yes. Great. Anybody else have some things that they want to share? I'm open for as long as you want me here. Any questions?
I don't have a question, but I was going to share something kind of in relation to a lot of what everybody has been saying. But yeah. I know for me I'm 35 years old, and I've been through a few careers already, always going back to school and trying new things. And I think that's the biggest reason why I'm here, just trying to figure out. I've never quite felt settled. And I think whenever I get somewhere, I'm like, oh yeah, I started off as a teacher. I was an elementary school teacher. And so it's like, oh yeah, this is right. And then a few years later, I was like, no, that's not it. And then I did something else. I was like, no, that's not it. And then this time, right outside of school, I started working with women in the city who are in recovery, who are mothers. And so similar to what Diane was just saying, it was hard, and it was deep work. And then, a few years into that, I was like, okay, this is too much. This isn't it. So I had to shift again. I shifted to private practice, which it was really hard because, you're wondering, will I be able to do as fulfilling work I came out to the suburbs with people who are a little bit more, in a higher economic range and all of that. So I had that shift. And then I got into my private practice, and then I'm almost a year into that. And all of a sudden, just like a month or so ago, I was like, nope, this isn't it either. So I keep hitting these over and over and over again. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I'm just not being true to who I am. And just the other day, my husband said, he's like, you keep coming back to this. You keep talking about this. And he's like, you just need to do it, which is why the coaching thing. And I've made a commitment to only take coaching clients from now on as I learn about it. But you know, it's, I think, kind of in response to what Diane said and what Renee said earlier, is just, you know, no matter what your age and, you know, what you're going through, it's a difficult transition. I know it's been difficult for me to transition from each step of my life, but I still feel like I haven't found what helps me feel alive, and haven't found all of that. But just even having, I have one coaching client now, and just even having the few sessions I've had, I feel amazing about it. In relation to the couple therapy clients I still have that I'm kind of weaning out. And so just even that has made me know that this is exactly where I need to be, and I can be myself, which is so much less stressful. And I don't self-doubt. I don't doubt myself constantly or double think, or, you know, so
everybody's nodding because we all relate to what you're saying, right? So she's saying too, thank you. So thanks for sharing that, because that is so much about what we've all been, you know, we've all had that on one level, right? And so this is also where, you know, I want you to go back and do some of this work where it's like, what have some of your successes been? Again, we don't have to let all of those go, right? We don't have to, we're allowed to bring them forward. And I think sometimes what happens is when we transition to a new position or whatever, we think, okay, that was that. Instead of like, well, look, you're bringing teaching, you're bringing you know, you're bringing all of this history this is what will help make you an excellent coach. You have a wealth of experience. And so, like, just the same with Diane, right? It's just like, you can tweak this. So part of this and writing this down, right, and doing this work is understanding, and we'll talk more about this as we move forward, but understanding how you personally, nice, thank you. Thanks, nice seeing you, Renee. Personally need to, you know, personally like to work. Personally, who you want to work with, all of those things, and giving yourself that permission to do that. Like I said, I don't like doing years and years and years of therapy. I want to go crazy. It drives me insane. And so once you can allow yourself, so that's why I have fun with the big, bold dream breakthrough. Define bold, what this looks like. Ask yourself, like, how do I want to work? What is my perfect day? How much money would it cost? Start getting true on like Pascal was saying about, I want to go on holiday 4 times a year. Well, why not more than that? What if you could? You know, what if every time the kids were off school, you were off too, right? And all of that. And it's like, the truth is, there are plenty of people out there doing exactly what you want to do. There's plenty of women out there that are making the kind of money that you want to do. There's plenty of women out there who are serving the populations that they want to. And there's plenty of women out there that are just like loving. And so really, it's just, this is what this process is going to be about for you. So I want to say thank you all for joining. Does anybody have any other question before we go? Oh, okay, great. Because, you know, like I said, I could talk all day about this.
I promise very, very, very quickly.
No, it's okay.
I feel like I'm a little bit on the back foot. You know, I only joined last night, right? So I think I've got the wrong workbook. Hello, this is nice. This is my number 1.
Hi, honey. How you doing? Hi.
The workbook. Can I just see which one you've got? Because I think I haven't got that. Now, why? I'm sure you've sent it to me. I think I haven't.
Okay. Yeah. So you're going to go into your membership area. You have that password that you put in, and it will be a workbook in there, and it's in Pages or PDF or a Word document.
Oh, I haven't done that.
Okay.
Yes,
and so down the road, this will morph. Right now there's a password, but down the road, we're going to put it into, you know, your own password protected membership area so that you can have it for life. And later today, if not tomorrow, this video will be put into the membership area so that you could watch it again. Okay.
Okay. Apologies.
Yeah,
Thanks.
no problem. Bye, everybody. Bye, Diane. Bye, Jacqueline. Bye, Jessica. I will see you in the Facebook group. I'll pop in there over the weekend. Please engage with one another. All right?
Quick question.
Go ahead, Jessica.
Where's the clear the clutter exercise?
Yeah. It's in the membership area now. There's a button that says right on there, click to download, and it's an audio. And it's a short audio.
Oh,
just,
okay.
Yeah,
I was at work last night. I probably couldn't watch it.
Yeah. It's just a short audio. So no worries. That would be the kind of thing to put in and really just start thinking like, oh, what does this even mean for me? Right. And also use it with clients. Definitely use everything that you're learning with clients.
Okay.
Anybody else? Go have a fab. Yay! Yeah. It's going to be so great. I will talk to you all later. Take care.
Bye.
You too. Thank you. Bye.